Welcome back to the channel. Today this is going to be a very big video because I'm bringing also a very big out of print rare game called Forbidden Stars from Fantasy Flight. So this game is a rarity because, as all wargamers know, Fantasy Flight lost the license to produce Warhammer based games. So the game itself is apparently never going to be reprinted this way. Um, when I was doing my research for this video, I also found that this game is a representation of StarCraft, the board game. Which I was aware. I was not aware. The StarCraft board game has that big coffin box. This is a square box, but also very big. You see the size? It's very, very high, and we can see here Space Marine, um, and the other factions, which will be some specific Eldar factions, some specific Chaos, the Space Marine and the Ultramarines, and the Orks is also a specific one. And the challenge here would be Galactic Conquest in the 41st millennium. 2 to 4 players. I like the box itself is a piece of art, so I'm gonna show you different sizes for you to see. We have the Chaos here. I know the box itself has already lots of love because I acquired this secondhand. There's the Ork, and there is the Ultramarine boss there. Okay, and then on the other side, now this is going to do some noise. On the other side, this is the idea you get from the box. You can see, I'll show you a little bit. This is a grid here. The map is a grid. The game comes with 140 plastic pieces, and it goes like this. You will find no peace among the stars. It is the 41st millennium, and the dark powers fight for control of the galaxy. Mighty fleets of ships and legions of terrifying ferocity venture forth in a quest for dominance. The Imperium of Mankind, the Craftworld Eldar, the Heretics of Chaos, and the endless Ork hordes all aim their sights at the newly discovered Herakon Cluster. Apparently this will happen on the Herakon Cluster. Okay, I guess we get the idea now, so let me show you what is inside Forbidden Stars. And it's taking a bit to open. There you go. Okay, so this is how my copy is filled. The game comes with these two manuals and the content is there. Okay, so yeah, let me put here from the side because I'm going to split this video into some parts, and let's go through the manual. Okay, there's a little bit of explanation on these 4 factions. By the way, this game just has these main 4 factions, but there is some fan content that I would like to explore one day, which is 2 expansions that bring each of them more 4 factions, which include Tyranids, Dark Eldar, Imperial Guard, Tau, and others that I don't remember. So this is, unfortunately, it's just fan made, but you can find it on websites like Etsy. Includes the cards and the boards, but also there are some sellers selling the plastic figures 3D printed. Okay, I haven't found anything interesting yet to acquire, but I'll keep an eye on that. I guess the idea of the ones that are just selling the cardboard is that then you use the ships from these factions, but the cards themselves and the factions, the materials, etc., they will be unique and created by fans. I'm not sure if that's worth for you to buy if you're using cardboard from other new factions, like using the Tyranids and then the ships from the Orks or something. I guess it's just half an experience, so it's better not have the experience if it's not that complete. Okay. Anyway, it's up to you to decide how you want to spend your money, because this is a big investment, this game. Okay. So it explains the 4 phases of the game. Then you have the actions. Each player will have 4 available actions to deploy. I'll show you when we take a look at the map. Now just focus here on the manual. That's it. It's a manual. And as every good Fantasy Flight game, there is a second manual, which is the rules reference, where they explore the deep dive on all the rules and mechanics of the game separately. You just need to search for what you're looking for, and probably you will find it. Okay, it's a complex game, I can tell you. It's a complex game. It doesn't look like that on the first glance. It's just miniatures, board, etc. But indeed, it's a complex game. In order to provide you a quick example of how the game looks like, I've randomly set up some of the tiles, but this is not done randomly. You need to fulfill certain requirements when filling the tiles. Basically, the number of players setups the number of tiles. It's 2x2 on 2 players, 3x3 on 3 players, and 4x4 on 4 players. So I just did some random thing here to show you. And any of these tiles is called the system, and within the system you have worlds like the planets you can see, and you have the void space where spaceships can travel there. So the spaceships go to the void, and then you also have the land units or infantry units that can only exist in planets. Okay, then you also have these barriers, warp barriers, so your ship cannot cross this because of the barrier, or here. So if you want to go, you need to go around, but the barriers also shift during the game. Not sure what this means in terms of lore, because I'm not that specialist in the lore, but from what I've read, these barriers represent some randomness, that some configuration of barriers that change across the time. So that's why the game, they'll be changing, and you'll be opening new ways, or you'll be blocking opponents in certain way, which creates that randomness into the game. Okay, so how do you play this game? So every faction will have 8 actions, 8 tiles, 8 action tiles. So, but they're like 2 of each. Okay, so I'm going to show you all of them to explain a little bit how the game goes. So this is called the advance. Hope that I remember properly the name. So advance is where you decide the sector you want to do a movement. Like, for example, imagining that I want to go here. You put it face down, okay, and then it goes around the players clockwise for them to also put their tokens face down. And once everyone has put 4 tokens, you start revealing from the top. Okay, so this means that when it gets time for you to reveal your action, what you want to do may have already become impossible to do, because the previous actions could have destroyed your strategy. You don't know. Okay, but there's always a chance for you to not to do your action and be able to draw an extra card when you need to draw cards. But anyway, if you reveal then a movement or an advanced phase, what you can do is you can move your troops within this sector or from an adjacent sector to invade. Okay, so you could move the ships here from this void here, or you could move from this world here. Okay, and then you do whatever you need to do, which may include fighting. Okay. So a cool thing is when the ships moved near to a planet, if the planet doesn't have a fortress called a bastion, you can bombard the planet. So it's a unilateral attack that you can do. You can just bombard and put all the troops there, damage, and they won't participate then on a infantry fight that will happen. So it's a strategic thing that you could do. So that would be advanced mainly, and then you can also do deployment, which is this symbol. So if you have a factory, which is some of the buildings that the game comes with, and I'm going to show you. Show you a factory. This would be, you have bastions. So this is a fortress that protects from bombardments. That would be a bastion like this. This is called a city. A city is what raises your limit to be able to produce higher units. And then you have the factories. These are like the same buildings for everyone. You just put your own, you put like this on the map, and it represents your factory like here. So I know I'm using as an example here Eldar ships and troops, but I'm showing you Space Marine tokens. So then you see many things. Okay, so then when you deploy, you can build stuff. Okay, and I'm just going to show you some example here. So there are the Space Marines, and you can build either structures, which is the cities, the factories, or the bastions, or you can build units like scouts, strike cruisers, Space Marines, land riders, battle barges, and warlord titans. I'm going to show you all these units, and then you need to have, if you want to build the warlord titans, you have to have 3 cities. 2 cities for this, 1 city for this, etc. Okay, and all factions have also a power there that we'll see through. So that will be the building. Okay, then you have the dominance. The dominance is the symbol here. When you do a dominance here, you reveal, and then you get the bonus on these red seals. So this one is out of camera. These red seals here, you get this bonus from the planets that you are friendly to you, which means that have some kind of structure or unit that belongs to your faction. And then you also activate in that sector this. Last but not least, you have the strategize. This is where you play with the cards. So you can upgrade your deck, and you can upgrade the schemes from your faction in order to choose one and to make them ready. So it's how do you play with the cards. So when everyone has placed their tiles, then we move up to the orders phase, where we make everything happen by order and resolve all the fight that happens. Regarding the fights, so fights come, you fight with the card deck and the dice. I'm going to show you just a die for you to see. So you roll in the beginning of a fight. You either get machine guns, which would be damage. You either get shields to block some of the damage you get, but you also get morale. Morale is an icon that if no one dies, if no one wins or loses the fight, in the end, after 3 rounds of fighting, morale dictates the winner. Okay, and so each building each unit they absorb certain hit points. Like here, for example, Space Marine has 3 hit points. He uses 2 die in the battle. This is a cost for building. And then in the end, if you want to count morale, each Space Marine will have 3 morale plus the morale on the die that you the dice that you have, as well as the morale from the cards, which I'll show you later, the decks. Okay, so the game plays. Every faction plays a little bit different. There are differences in the costs, in the life of the troops, the initial setup. So I'm going to show you now all the 4 factions one by one, and we'll discuss a little bit the potential of each. The Space Marines, Ultramarines chapter. Okay, Ultramarines chapter. So on this setup, they start with the ship, 4 scouts, 1 Space Marine, and the lore here is the brother Sergeant Corialos, should be this guy there that we saw in the box, and the game basically, if I want to tell you how to win the game, so the game goes by 8 rounds, and in the end of the 8th round, whoever has more objectives fulfilled wins the game. Basically, the objectives are, although there are some lore associated with the objectives, these are just tokens that you need to grab on the map. If you get to the planet where the objective is there and you control that, by the end of the round, you get it. Okay, and you just need to have 4. Whoever has gets to 4 wins the game, but after the 8th round, if no one has 4, at least who has more wins the game. And then there are criteria for untying based on the number of worlds you have, the number of units, etc. Okay, so I would love to read all of this, but I guess it's too much. But I'm showing you at least on camera, so if you want to pause and read, go for it. Okay, then on the other side, we will see, first of all, we have the scouts. So the copies that I have, I don't know the story of these copies. As I mentioned before, it's a second-hand copy, a used copy. And the Space Marine look very different from what you see in the box. It seems like someone decided to sunshade this, and I don't like it. Especially because, as you can see, some are looking like this, but anyway. Just ignore that. So this would be a scout. I would prefer a miniature here, because this is just a flag representing scouts or scouts in plural. That's what it is. Then you have the strike cruisers. Strike cruiser. I would love to say something very intelligent about the strike cruisers. Where they come from, how powerful they are. but I'm clueless. Okay, I'm clueless. But this is the basic. It looks very imponent, but this is the basic ship from the Space Marines faction. And then the thing that everyone is looking for are the Space Marines themselves. So if you are hoping to play this game and have really cool Space Marines miniatures on your board, no, that's not what you are going to get. You are going to get flags. So this is a Space Marine. Look how impressive that world is with the Space Marine. Yeah, it's a bit of a disappointment for me, to be honest. And then you have the famous Land Rider. So I'm gonna show you the two versions that I have, which is the same thing, but this, I guess the sun shading paint just didn't. Oh no, wait, this is painted. I feel there's some texture here. I don't know if. Yeah, it's painted in purple. Oh man, the guy that, the pre-owner of this game just messed up completely. Luckily, it just did this for the Ultramarines because all the other factions are still pristine. But this is what you have here. I guess he decided to transform the Ultramarines into the White Marines, and that's what happened. Yep. Then the ones that I like the most. These are called the battle barges. Look how cool that looks, even in white, even sun shaded. Look, and let's just compare the small one with the big one here. Let me see if I can make the comparison work. Yeah, look at them side by side. It's like father and son, because you can see there is some reflection in the architecture from one to the other. It's like, hey, mommy, when I grow up, I want to look exactly like you. Oh yeah, you still need to eat a lot of atomic and fusion engines to become a battle barge like me. And the last one, if every faction has an ultimate unit, well, ultimate land unit in this case, and these are called the Warlord Titans, which I've played the Dawn of War games, etc. I don't remember this. Maybe it's me, my memory, but I don't remember. I guess the Land Rider was the ultimate unit from the Dawn of War games, right? It was the Land Rider. So I've never seen these robots. And no, this is not a Dreadnought. This is something higher than a Dreadnought. Dreadnought. Yeah, this is like a big mechanic mech warrior, Megazord kind of thing. Impressive. That will roll 3 dice, 5 life. The battle barge will throw 4, 5 life as well. Okay, and you need, when you see this icon here, this means that you need a special token to acquire it, to build it. It's a forge token, and it's easy to find. Some worlds give the forge token, and you can get that pretty easily. Okay, so here are the miniatures. What about the decks? So I told you this game was complex because you need to play with dice, with cards, with miniatures, and the way you influence combat is with the cards. Okay, so I'm just going to give this long explanation here with the Ultramarines, and then on the other factions we just go forward to the content. So when you start a battle, you roll your die depending on the units you have in the battle, and then you draw 5 cards from this deck. You choose one, and that's going to be the card that you are going to play. Okay, and the reason why you need to choose a card is because cards have effects. The green effect, which always happens, and then it has the brown effect that only happens if you have these kind of units in the fight: scouts, space marines, strikers, etc. And then you add, when you're dealing damage, you deal the damage from the dice and the damage you see here on the card. So this card will give 1 extra morale, but some cards give shields, some cards gives attack. So there are more defensive cards, more attacking cards, etc. That's how you can customize your deck to have a different play experience. Okay, and the combat itself, it goes for 3 rounds. So if after the first round you didn't win because there are troops from both factions, you go to a second round and use a second card. So when you use a second card, for example, imagine that I want to do that like this. Maybe it's better. if I use this one first, it was going to give me a shield, and then I use the machine gun. So then I have shield and a machine gun on the second round. So you can count with this and this. And if I play this one on the third round, I have again this plus the dice. Okay. So that's how you leverage on the previous played cards. So it's important also for you to know the order of the cards that you play because of the effects of the cards. Things like, for example, this is a very aggressive card to begin immediately in the fight. You get 2 tokens for of attack, which is more of these symbols immediately. And then when an enemy unit is routed is if it's damage. During the execution round, which is one of the phases of the combat, it is destroyed unless your opponent spends on morale. So if you don't have morale, you damage a unit, and then it needs to be destroyed. Okay, the cards always come in pairs. Okay, so you have 2 of each. Then Fate in the Emperor, morale. You get an extra die that you roll, and then if you have the Space Marines or the Strike Cruiser, either. By the way, these are the starter deck. That's why the cards are more focused on the starting units as well, for you to leverage on the beginning of the game. Either you rally one of your units or gain 1 morale. So rally a unit means that if it's damaged, it comes back, fight full force. Okay, so this is a good card for you to use if you are like on the second round, where you can bring cards back, right? Because in the beginning, especially if you are attacking, your card resolves first, so it doesn't make sense to have rally units unless you are doing a second battle, and in the previous battle some of your units got routed, but still you won and you stayed on the planet, etc. Then it could make sense for you to use this card in the beginning to make those units be ready again. Reconnaissance, a more defensive kind of card. If you are attacking, you can look at the card of your opponent, and you gain either this or that. Okay, so if you're attacking, you can then decide which one you want to get. Okay, and then you can spend 1 morale to retreat one of your units. So if you see that, hey, this looks like I'm gonna die, you can run away. Power armor, you get defense there, so 3 defenses immediately there. And then you can convert other rolls to defenses, so a super defensive card. Fury of the Ultramar, your opponent revolts shields, so yeah, you are really gonna get some damage, so reroll the shields. And I don't want shields as well because I'm playing aggressive now, so I'm going to reroll one of my shields as well. And then you can force, if you have the Space Marines, you can force an opponent to lose a shield or 2 of the shields on tokens, so really aggressive. So this was a starter deck for Space Marines, and then we have the cards that you can upgrade your deck by paying the cost and doing the strategize action. So for you to do that, you pick one of these pairs. If you can pay here the dominant, the command tier, if you already achieved that command tier, sorry, and then you pick one of the pairs here. I want to upgrade with this, so you go to your starter deck, you choose a pair that you don't want, and you exchange, and this pair goes away, and your deck becomes stronger with these powerful cards. Okay, and the more expensive the cards are, the more powerful they are. Let's see the difference. So you see here, these cards now start with 3 symbols already. For each morale you have, you gain either attack or defense, and you can spend any number of morale. For each morale you spend, retreat one of your units. It's a veteran scouts. Glory and Death, you gain 2 attacks. If you're attacking, you rally one of your units. Hey, so Glory and Death, hey, get up, you can still fight. Force one of your opponent to lose a shield or morale. Drop Pod Assault. You remember the drop pods where the Space Marines got into the planets? They come from space in these pods, it lands and then it opens the door and they come out. So you gain 1 die, which is an extra resource, an extra result for battle. And if you're using the Space Marines, you can spend 1 morale to take either a scout or a Space Marine from any world in place on this world, so you can teleport troops. from other places into the battle. So how does that work? Because if they come, they also bring dice for attacking. So I need to check that because I need to check how that works. Hold the line. Defense and morale. You get 2 defenses to hold the line there, and if you are defending, you rally one of your units. So the Space Marines have the chance here to bring the units up back to fight, and you can get shields and morale as well. Now, there are no level 1 cards. If you want to upgrade to the next level, the next level needs to be level 2, where you get cards for the big units, the Land Rider and the Battle Barge. You spend 3 morale. For each you spend, you gain either attack or shield. So the Land Rider comes in to deal lots of damage. Okay. Show no fear. During this execution round, your units cannot be routed. So when you play this card, your units cannot be routed, so you'll be protected against everything. And if you have spend 1 morale to rally all your units, so they very powerful. Show no fear. Armored advance. Attack and shield. Gain 1 more shield. And the Land Rider resolve 1 additional assess damage step this execution round. Okay, so you deal twice damage. Emperor's Glory. There are the Titans there. Okay, and this is just for the Titans and the Battle Barge. You get 2 dice, defense and morale, and rally all your units. Then convert any of your dice into morale. That's a very good final card to use, because it will give you shields, and then everyone will be back up. Then all your dice will be converted to morale, so then the battle ends and you'll have lots of morale to win the game, because morale will untie the battle after the 3rd round. Emperor's Might. This is the opposite, which is super aggressive, more dice, and you can spend any number of machines. For each machine gun, you gain 2 machine guns. Okay, so you get rid of 1 die, but then you get 2 tokens. So the problem is that between phases in the combat, the tokens go away. So it's you really need to carefully see which is the right moment for you to spend the die, because the die will not. If you spend the die on the 1st round, then on the 2nd and 3rd round the die won't be there. Okay, and the tokens have gone, would have been gone. So you need to be careful with that. Then you also have, these are cards that have upgrades for your action. See the action there? There's the advance. So that's an upgrade, the Rain of Fire, an upgrade for the Orbital Strike, Drop Pods, Recruitment, Strategize, and the Crusade. So it will improve your actions. Then you also, when you strategize, you choose tactics or schemes to have in place. Like Heroic Intervention here, it's a tactic that either place 1 free Space Marine on a friendly world containing a structure, or place 1 scout on a friendly world. And then you need to, this is how you move the warp gates, right? It's when you play the cards, you need to slide them parallelly, or rotate them, or slide horizontally, and this is how you can influence the next round by changing the blocks. So Heroic Intervention. Unwavering Resolve. The Emperor Protects. Rites of Battle. Adeptus Mechanicus. Emperor's Champion. Work of the Righteous. And the Exterminatus. Moving to Eldar now. So Eldar, the Craftworld Iyanden. So their ability is the Webway Portal. When you do a dominate order, you may take 1 of your units from 1 world in the active system, where you do the dominate order, and place it on a friendly world in any system, because they open the webway portals and then just teleport somewhere. Okay, so they will have the Aspect Warriors. maybe I'll show them while I name them. Okay, they start with 3, they start with 2 flying units, so they're more advantage on the flying side as well. And I'm just gonna show you Yana, is this Yana? Yana Arianal as the leader, and the goals that they need to achieve, which is just lore. So if you want to see the details, just pause and read, because now I want to show you this miniature. So starting with here, the aspect warrior. Like in Space Marines, if you're looking for fancy miniatures for the Eldar faction, it's just flags. Yeah, like that. Then we have the Hellbore frigates, which looks like this interesting ship, which the nose is bended. Yeah, there you go. Here, that's how it looks on the board. Then the main infantry is the Raid Guard, which you have here the armor for the Raid Guard and the flag with the Eldar symbol. Looks like a Japanese art. Got that. Oh, they fell down. Then the tanks, the Falcon, which levitate. I remember from Dawn of War, they levitated and they threw like laser beams. Falcon, cool. There's a Falcon there. Then the biggest flying unit is the Void Stalkers. Or it looks like a bat, some kind of bat. Hey, this is completely bended here. Look how damaged the plastic here. It takes a bit of bending by being in these boxes. And but I think it's, let me just show you another one, because yeah, it's made to look like they have different sizes, but they look very cool. And if I show them side by side, the Void Stalker and the Hellbore frigates, there's not much of a difference in the size, but the wingspan makes it different. It seems like it just evolved, like Pokemon, the basic Pokemon, and evolved into Sure Eldar. That's what it looks like. Well, then you also have the Warlock Battle Titans as the ultimate infantry unit. Warlock, sorry, not Warlord, Warlock. There. Okay, it's the go-to planet. That's how the Eldar look in terms of decks. So the starter deck will include Striking Scorpions. Gives an extra die and your opponent loses 1 die. So they immediately cut off a die from the opponent. Ranger support. If you're attacking, gain attack. If you are defending, you can retreat one of your units to save it. Command of the Autarch. So it doesn't give anything. You either rally one of your units and gain 1 morale, which is good, like last card you play, or no, sorry, either rally or gain 1 morale. Depends on what will be the best option. Play 1 command card from your hand. Do not. Oh, so this doesn't give anything, but you can play a second card. Do not resolve the abilities, just the combat icons. Okay, the ability will be this one, and you get the combat icons. Howling Banshees. I remember those as well from the game. Attacking. 1 die extra, and you can spend morale to force an opponent to choose and route one of the units. 2, yep. Hit and run. Gain 2 attacks. Spend one morale to move one of your units to an adjacent friendly uncontrolled area. Cool.
So then you have the raid as an upgrade for the deck. Raid guard support. Raid guard. Okay. So these are the main soldiers. What's the difference? So this would be a scout looking like not an aspect warrior. Okay. So they look more fragile. These guys look like more strong, robust, although they're very thin. You either gain 1 cube or 1 morale. You can convert 2 of your machine guns into defense. So that's why it's a more support side of card. Swooping Hawks, flying units here. Shields, if you're defending, your opponent loses 3 tokens for attack. That's good. That's good. He loses 3 attacks. That's good. Aspect Warrior, spend 1 morale to gain 2. So you also get the lose 3 and you get 2 more. Fire Dragon's Vengeance. If you're attacking, your opponent cannot gain shields during this round. Cool. If you are prepared, if your opponent is preparing a very big defense, oh surprise, no more shields. And if you are going with Aspect Warrior, you gain also 2 shields as well. The Raid Guard Advance. They are in the snow. They are snow planet. Either gain 1 cube on 1 dice or morale, and you can convert your shields into attack. So more on the attack side here. Fire Prism. Fire Prism. So that's not a falcon. It's a Fire Prism because he has a crystal there. I remember from the game, so it also levitates, but it shoots here. Converting the number of morale into a fight. Very aggressive there. If you are attacking, gain 2. If you are defending, force your opponents to lose 5 shields. Wow, lose 5 shields. Wave Serpent. You get 1 cube and you gain 3 unless your opponent spends a morale. More on the defensive side of things. The Spirit Seer's Guidance. Gain 1 morale. Route 1 of your units. If you do, units cannot suffer any damage during this round. So you route the crappy and the other ones will take no damage. That's cool. So you just sacrifice 1. So you just sacrifice 1 and regardless of the outcome of the fight, nothing else will happen to damage your units. Psychic Lance. That's the Raid Guard. The Warlock. Look at the size of the thing next to that warrior. Very big. Your opponent, you get a die, your opponent discards a random combat card from his hand. Okay, so good first card in order to clean the opponent's hand for dangerous card. And then you gain 4 fights unless your opponent allows you to choose. Choose what? Let me just say something. Choose and discard 1 of his face-up cards. Ah. Your opponent allows you to choose and discard 1 of his. Oh, you decide. Hey, so that card that gives you 3 attacks, bye bye. No, then I get 4. Bye bye to you. Holofield Emitter. You gain a die, you get an extra combat card. So this is good to play first. And you play 1 combat card and you also play another combat card. You do not resolve the abilities, just the icons. Cool. So you can also play in the end because you play another one. In terms of here the passive abilities, so improvement to the orbital strike, advancement. So all it's very similar to all the same kind of upgrades. It's slightly different effects. And in terms of schemes and tactics that you can get from specializing, it's the Farsight. The Farsight. Outcast Returned. Exodite Colony. Vicious Raids. That battle barge there, it's gone. Outmaneuver. Warp Gate. Teleport the troops. Path of the Warrior. Banshee. And Legacy of Vol. Cool. Orks, 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 orks. Evil Sunz clan. So when you do dominance, the ability would be Orc Spores. When you resolve a dominate order, you may purchase one unit and place it on a friendly world in the active system. So it needs to be infantry unit, okay, and you put it on a world. So this is how the lore from the Orks is presented in the game. It's Castor Trax. Okay, so if you want to see the details of the missions for lore, you can pause the video. And they have an initial setup that does not include the spaceships, so they start very stuck to worlds, and they need to evolve on ships. But they also have a reinforcement token and lots of orc boys. Cool. Okay, so let's get to know the units for the orcs. Starting here with the orc boys. So I have here on the side, and I'm going to show you. So that's an orc boy. Again, another banner, another flag, kind of token. You see, that's the skull that represent the orcs. There, very well known skull. That's how it looks on a planet. Then, the baseline ship for the orcs is called the Onslaught attack ships. They are always coming out of these standees. That's an orc ship. I like the orc ships. They look very cool. Orcs is not something that you would associate immediately with space and ships, but these ships look good for me. And then you have the noobs, the normal infantry for orcs, where you can see the skull again, more on a metallized kind of skull. And you can see the metal teeth as well. Okay. Now, the tanks for the orcs are called the battle wagons. There's a battle wagon. It's kind of a truck that is transformed into a battle wagon. That in front looks like a truck, and the back looks like a tank. Maybe they fused both things. Battle wagon goes there. Then the biggest space traveling orc structure or unit is called the Kill Cruisers, with a K. Kill Cruisers. And looks like this. Looks like a machine gun. I'm not sure which is the front. Wait, maybe I think it's wrong. Let me see here. Yeah, so this is this is the front line. You have like a mouth here. Yeah, it looks like some teeth there. And I see here like some kind of a machine gun. And with this color, it really looks like a Halo, video game Halo machine gun. And there's a big difference from the small to the big one. As you can see, if the focus lets us focus properly, is jumping from one to the other one. Full focus. Okay, so go play on Void. And then the biggest infantry unit is called the Gargants. I've never seen this in the game, in the video games. The Gargants, like a fat orc, mechanized mech warrior orc. I've never seen this, so not much to say. Then let's take a look at the deck for the orcs. Okay, starting with the starter deck. The Ard Boys, which is a defensive card, and allows, so that's why they are hard, because it's a defensive card, and you must roll all of your machine guns in order to defend. But if you're going with the Orc Boys, then your opponent must reroll attacks for each unrouted, not damaged Orc Boys. So that's a super defensive move that we were going to do. The Mech Boys, the ones that have shock, so they give morale, get one extra die. And if you have these units, your opponent discards the top card of his combat deck, you gain the icons from those cards. Hopefully good cards there. The Slugger Boy! Your opponent must reroll all morale and rally one of your units. Grazie! You gain this and this, attack and defense. Your opponent must reroll one of those his dice, and if you're going with the onslaught, destroy one slug to force your opponents to choose and destroy one of his units. So this is really when you're going after the big guys, you sacrifice one, and one of the big ones, the big ships, needs to go, because the onslaught is the base ship from the orcs. And the shoota boys, you must reroll. So that's the aggressive card. You must reroll shields. And if you go with the orc boys, your opponent must reroll one shield for each orca boys. So the orca boys. So the strategy here with the orcs is big numbers, great land invasions, full of orca boys, in order for you to treat. We use these as initial cards, orca boy everything, and then win. So that's clearly the strategy here. Then when you go to upgrades, you have the mega noobs. That will give you some defense. The biker noobs. That will give you more attack. Sea of Green. Place one free reinforcement token in this area. If you have more unrouted units than your opponent chooses and routes one of his units unless he spends one morale. So again, the numbers game, that's the Sea of Green, so you need to go with a lot in order for it to have more than the opponent. What? Rally one of your units, morale. Yes, and then you gain one fight for each unrouted Orca boys for onslaught. So that's a cool final card in order to win the fight for morale in the end of the fight. The party wagon, more on the defensive side, but gives an extra reinforcement. If you have more unrouted units than your opponent, you also get more tokens. The Weirda boys. You and your opponent must re-roll all die, so everything starts again. So if you were unlucky in the first roll, then this is a very good card. Oh, I just did the camera here. A rocket wagon full of rockets. So there's only the super attack. There's no green, just blue, brown if you have battle wagon or kill cruiser. So big units, and you get 3 attack. Your opponent must retreat one of his units. So one of the units need to go away immediately. You scare them. And the Smasher Gargant. Look at that's how it looks. Well painted. Look at that! 5 icons. Choose one of your opponent units, destroy that unit unless your opponent spends dice equal to the chosen unit's command level. Pretty strong cards here, and the Snapper Gargant. Also only brown. 5 icons, super aggressive. Discard one of your opponent's face-up combat cards. You just remove the icons there and the effects. Very strong. Wow, these orcs are very strong. I'm surprised. So they have the cards probably are stronger, but then they have the limitation on the ships, which basically they can overcome very fast. So now I'm curious to see some tier videos to see exactly how these factions compare with each other. I'll look at that after. So these are the tactics and schemes. How we get here. Gisdom. Let them fighting. Tear it down. Mob up. Looting and stealing. War boss. And more boys. And also to show the upgrades for the actions. So similar to other factions, you have the upgrades for the actions and some of orbital strikes as well. Orcs then. And finally, last but not the least, we have the Chaos Space Marines with the World Eaters Warband. So their ability is the Taint of Chaos. When you resolve a dominate order, you may take one cultist from an active system and place it on a friendly and uncontrolled world in an adjacent system. So this is very good to propagate your faction almost free, because there will always be something around you. And then once you have that guy there, you can start receiving the income from that planet, etc. So you can also start deploying things. So very cool, very cool, very cool. And this is the game itself brings Zalo Starg as the leader, the Legion Chaos Space Marines. If you want to see the lore associated with the missions, you can pause and take a look. And then they start with a flying unit, 2 Chaos, and 2 cultists for you to do your magic in the beginning, the traveling, the teleporting as well, etc. Okay, so in terms of units, let's start by taking a look at the cultists. This is a cultist. Seems like a religious symbol being grabbed here by this tentacle. Very cool, very interesting. Yeah. Then the baseline ship is called the Iconoclast Destroyer. That's an Iconoclast Destroyer. Looks like a ship from the beginning of the 20th century. Looks like a Titanic. And that's how it looks on the board. Then the big boys that everyone is looking for, the Chaos Space Marines. It's this. You can see the armor there. And the symbol for the Chaos. Then the tank looking creatures are the Hellbrutes, called Hellbrute. Okay. So not the crab mechanical robots, but the Hellbrutes. This seems to be an organic creature with big armor there, not a full robot. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. It seems like a demon with an armor or something, because you have the horns. You can see some organic, which looks like an organic material popping out. I've played many Resident Evil games, so I know how these monsters could go. Then the big ones, the big ships are the repulsive Grand Cruisers. The repulsive Grand Cruiser, very beautiful, very beautiful. From this point of view here, from top, if zoom allows, this zoom is killing me today. Lots of things on the background. I would love to show you what's stable. Look at that. Look at those side cannons there. Very good looking. And if I show you both. Oh, focus. I want to move everything, but I'll put my hand to show you. You should not film things with background tiles and stuff, because the phone just gets lost. You can see the idea, right? Both from top now. No, there's some similarities there. You see the side cannons? This one only have 3. So beautiful. Then the Chaos Rearing Titans. Chaos Rearing Titans. So the opposite force from the Titans of the Space Marines, but these ones look much more interesting. This big cylindrical machine gun, the rocket launcher pod here on the back, and this like curved, like a hunchback kind of monster. So cool, so cool. Goes there, that planet. When it comes to cards, then the starter deck, you have Impure Zeal. If you have more morale than your opponent, rally one of your troops, and then the basic guys will gain 1 machine gun for each unrouted cultist or iconoclast, unless your opponent chooses and routes 1. Lure of Chaos. Morale. Your opponent may choose and route one of his units to gain a die. If it does not, place 1 free cultist or iconoclast in this area. Dark Fate. Get 1 morale. And if you have more morale than your opponent, place a free cultist on another friendly control. Okay, so the battle itself gives outcome on the map. That's range. Khorne's Rage. You spend 1 die to get 3 tokens. So yeah, it's a huge boost. But then for the next rolls, it's better that you win the battle soon, because in the next rounds you won't have that die. But it's a big boost. 3 damage is a big boost. Your opponent chooses and routes one of his units unless he spends a shield. So he needs to spend a shield. and you will get him on top of him with 3 damage, so this is going to end badly for sure for the opponent. Foul Worship. So that's a... what's that? That's a Space Marine helmet. And is pierced by a lance here. Spear. Gain 1 die, and if your opponent has at least 1 routed unit, gain 1 shield for each unrouted that you have. So good for second card after the first attempt to route something on the other side. Well, in terms of upgrades, you have the Mark of Slanesh. Slanesh. Gonna die, and if you have more morale than the opponent, so this it works a lot with morale. You really want to have morale. Your opponent chooses and routes 1 unit. If you go always with more morale, then you have an advantage immediately with the chaos. Mark of Nurgle. Nurgle. Either spend on shield or 1 morale to gain 3 defense, so it's a very good defensive move. Mark of Crown, the same thing but aggressive. What was the other card that we just saw? Wait. Where did I put it? Oh, yeah, it has the same name. So, Mark of Crown and Corn's Rage. Wow. Imagine spending this card on the first and then this on the second. It's very aggressive. It's a super aggressive faction here. Super aggressive faction. The Mark of Tsench. You gain 1 morale if you have more morale than your opponent. Again, the morale. Replace 1 of your cultists in this world with a free Chaos Space Marine. Okay, so they participate immediately in the battle. And you gain 1 morale, you come with 2 morale, so probably you will have more morale. And then if you have a Space Marine, spend up to 2 morales, which you have already 1 there. For each that you spend, you gain machine... Oh, wow. These guys, woohoo. Chaos United. Your opponent may choose and route 1 of his units. If he does, you gain 2, or this one. And then take 1 of your units from any world and place it on this world. This unit's command level cannot exceed the number of cultists in this system. So you need to have cultists in order to support that. Demonic Resilience. You gain that. Very defensive. You gain 4 defenses unless your opponent chooses and destroys 1 of his units. This is a very strong faction. Gain 1 machine gun or 1 morale. Destroy 1 of your units to gain 4. Okay, so if you have those cultists around, destroy them and get the inhuman strength. Death and Despair. Either gain this or that, spend any number of this for each, destroy 1 command level 0 unit. Okay, that could be interesting. So you get this immediately, you spend it to destroy level 0s, crappy ones, and then you machine gun the rest. Cool. And the Chaos Victorious. Gain 2 die. If you have more morale than the opponent, same thing. Route all the level 0s. The craps go away. And route 1 of your opponent units. You route all 0s. If you go with the Chaos Titan or Grand Cruiser, you also route another unit. So the battle may end up immediately very dangerous. Tactics. So prophets and signs through the warp. So you can move through the warp. I guess there was something that would allow you to move. Yeah, you discard this card and you can move through the warp. So your opponent just moves the strategy warp, so moves strategically the warp in order to avoid being attacked by you, and then you, aha, I can move now all my troops and kill you. Spoils of War, gain 1 forge and 1 reinforcement. The Bright of Nurgle. Seduced by Chaos. Prayer to the Dark Gods. Incarnation of Zinch. And Touched by the Warp. And as like the other factions, you also have the upgrades for the normal movements and actions. Guys, there you go. Finally, I went through all the content for Forbidden Stars. Uh, I feel tired after all those miniatures, cards, etc. It's a very big game. The game itself is very long. I guess BGG says that the best number for play would be 3 players. I've played with 4. It was really a tough game. Took lots of hours and we just went 5 rounds. But we were learning as we went, so as we go. But take your own decisions. Try yourself. And I hope you've enjoyed the video to the point that you don't forget to leave that like. Consider subscribing. I have a playlist fully dedicated of board games and card games in general, so I truly believe you'll find interesting content in the channel to considering subscribing, be part of this community for future videos. We are close to the 3,500 subscribers, so your like, which is free for you, would definitely help this channel, and I thank you in advance for that. And I hope to see you on the next videos. Thank you, goodbye.